A very good evening to everybody watching. Thank you for joining us on the agenda this week. My name is Toiwan Jabela, the host. Tonight we are doing this conversation from our resort town of Swakopmund. I'm joined by Professor Gerhard Tötemeyer. He is former Deputy Minister of Local and Rural Government during those years. He's now called the Ministry, of course, of Urban and Rural Development. And he was also a director of elections.
The first one.
The first ever.
The father of elections.
Yes, absolutely. He's the founding father of our elections. We are speaking to you from his home here in Swakopmund, his beautiful home, a warm home. Thank you, Professor, for really welcoming us in your home. I think the first thing that I want to know is what you have been up to, because you have disappeared from the political and public life, from the political radar and public life, and then we found you here in your home. What have you been up to since then?
No, I'm observing the total situation, take note of it. And as you know, I'm also the initiator and founding member of the German German-speaking Namibian organization, because I support any effort where we can exchange ideas, talk to one another, listen to one another. So we are looking forward to more dialogue with the rest of the population. We shouldn't, well, put it that way in a short sentence, that German-speaking Namibians should not isolate themselves, sondern partake in the whole life of that we live, and that's the social life, economic life, and political life.
Absolutely.
So not to escape responsibility, but rather together with others find solution to some of issues. But the main thing that I would like to emphasize why is because there's a tendency also sometimes, in particular in the German-speaking population, to prescribe, say, these are our norms, these are our values, and these you must follow. Then we will acknowledge wrong. The first thing that the German-speaking Namibians must learn to listen to others, to learn from them, and see whether they can find common ground on some issues, on some values and some norms. And we find some basic normal of ground, leveling ground, then we can go up and address a number of other issues.
Absolutely. For those who do not remember you, especially the younger generations, the so-called born frees, if you can give us a background on how you became director of elections. Was it a position where you apply and get interviewed, or you get appointed by someone those days?
But I think I must go a little bit back. Why was I part of supporting the liberation struggle?
Absolutely, yes. Please, let's start from there.
You know, I did my doctoral dissertation on the development of elites in at that time, Ovamboland, in the early 70s. I did my research, so the first, say, 5 years of the 70s. And it was the first time that an academic, I was then lecturer at the University of Stellenbosch, was allowed to do research up in the northern part, because the liberation war was going on. But then I took this opportunity to get deeper into the thinking of the people and different matters, the role of the church, the role of the youth, of the people, of the students, of the officials, of traditional leaders, etc. And then the people of Ovamboland, that I first say it publicly, converted me. I had a different political opinion, but since the mid-70s, 76, when I came to the end of my research, I was convinced what is happening here is totally against human rights, and I, as from that stage on, supported the liberation struggle, and particularly I had close cooperation with Elson, the particular spiritual father to me was Peshawala.
Yes.
At that time, we had a very father-son kind of relationship. I got the confidence of the people because I had a questionnaire. And then my book was published in 77 or 78, where I told the outside world what the real situation and that separate homelands or Bantustans is not the solution to get an independent, free Namibia. Okay, let's quickly jump and get to independence.
Yes.
I was then the head of the Department Political and Administrative Studies at UNAM.
Yes.
And I was also Dean of the Faculty of Economic Science at that time. And shortly after independence, I got a phone call from Hartmut Ruppel.
Yes.
I said I understand they had a cabinet meeting and they talked also to him, and they are looking for a person who could be serve on the Delimitation Commission.
Yes.
This means to divide Namibia into regions, constituencies, and local authority areas.
Yes.
I took it as a challenge and became part. We were 3 members, Mr. Chipanga, Martin Chipanga, and then Judge Stradom and myself.
Yeah.
And we crossed the whole country, so I had the opportunity to get to every corner of Namibia. And I said one principle to my colleagues being on the Delimitation Commission is our approach when dividing Namibia into these entities that I mentioned, we should have a bottom-up approach.
Yeah.
Go to the people and listen to them, how they see there should be the borderlines. Because there was a task given to us by proclamation that we may not consider the tribal borderlines as borderlines for the regions and for the constituencies. And that was quite a difficult task.
Yeah.
So,
and the principle there was also, I suppose, then to say you didn't want to form another regime of Bantustans where
no.
tribes are confined into.
Unfortunately, some colleagues in the party that I belong to, I joined SWAPO officially in 1991. They accused me. I can remember one member. I will not mention his name. He was a minister. Accused me in Parliament that what I'm doing there with regionalism is just copying Bantustan. And that night I sat there and thought about myself and put down 10 points. The next day I stood up in Parliament and said, these are the 10 points why you are wrong, Commerce Minister.
Yeah.
And nobody then argued any longer in Parliament, accusing me again that I'm undermining central authority. Yeah. We strengthened local and regional level so that they can be strong at central level.
Yeah.
So after the delimitation report, it took us about 9 months. It was then published and accepted all the names for the region except for 3 were accepted. They had different names in Parliament. That's fine. Erongo region that I proposed is my proposal, like Kumas and Downs, Kumas region, Hadap region, etc. These names that I had the privilege to give to these regions, and Martin Chipanga gave the names to the northern part, and the Judge Stradom also had some proposals. There's a story, but we can leave it. It's not important, about how I was accused in Parliament that I wanted to have the Caprivi region, that it should be named after a lake in the Caprivi region. And I was attacked by the gentleman who's now in exile in Denmark. Everybody probably knows, and he accused me like hell in Parliament that I didn't stick to the name Caprivi. Yeah. What I couldn't understand is Caprivi was the successor of Bismarck, the president, prime minister, or whatever of Germany. So why we should stick to a colonial name? But that gentleman said, no, we stick to that. Today, in Zambezi region, my proposal was similar to that name.
Yeah, I think.
Anyway, now coming back to your
Yes, please.
to your question. Then back in my office after I completed the study, and then 2-3 months later, got a phone call from Hartmut. He said, listen, we approach you on behalf of cabinet whether you have now the knowledge of the whole country. You have been to every corner of this, listen to the people, so you know the country, whether we can have you as the first director of elections. For the all four election, local, regional council, president, and the National Assembly. So from 1992 till 1998, I call myself the father of elections in Namibia.
Absolutely.
And I still follow. And then thereafter, I was honored that for 10 years I represented Namibia at the SADC headquarters, being a member of the SADC Electorate Advisory Council, which means that each country nominates one person to serve in that council and give advice on electoral matters in SADC country. So, for 10 years, I did that.
Okay. So, do you think then, Professor, that you were critical in laying the foundation, because you took over that job at a very fragile time of our country? We have just emerged out of apartheid in 1989, 1990. And I know, for example, that the electoral performance of SWAPO in 1989, contrary to what people may think, it was not the best performance. I think the party just got over 50% of the votes. Of course, there are many various reasons for that. The DTA of that time, for example, was well supported by South Africa. But getting into a new republic and really laying a foundation for what became a very trustworthy electoral system for our country going forward, what were some of the things that you did to make sure that we now build on that foundation and that our country now has one of the trusted processes of elections?
You touch upon a very important issue, and I want to relate it to the present day position. One thing I really try to do, that something I introduced immediately, is voter education. What does it mean to be a citizen of this country, and the responsibility that I have? And as it goes, politicians make promises that this and this will happen. And I said we must capacitate the voter. Why I'm voting. So what I want to say, the other day I saw a placard, a young person, probably about now voting age, saying no job, no vote. I totally oppose that placard, because you must take responsibility as a citizen. It should be rather different. Yes, I will vote, definitely, and this is one of the main issues that we should follow with the coming election. Too many people abstained from voting during the last election. I come to the other aspect that you also have in mind, but this is very important that we start with the process again of voting, how important it is. The other day I met a person and he was criticizing the government like hell. I said, listen, you have the opportunity to express your opinion when you vote. Have you voted? Said, no, I haven't voted, I'm not interested. So then you don't have a right to criticize the government.
Absolutely.
That is my attitude, my philosophy. If you are a co-builder in the governance of this country, we must take note of it. And our really purpose for the coming election is that people should go and vote. There's one aspect related to it. I noticed that during the last election, the absence was very high. And I thought by myself, what could be the reason for that? And one reason I think it is particularly those who voted for SWAPO all the time, all of a sudden didn't vote. Of them were not happy with certain things and kept it for themselves instead of talking about these things. But they feel such loyalty towards SWAPO as an organization that originated in the Oshiwambo-speaking population. That is my party. And said, no, I'm not prepared to vote for any other party. I abstain.
Yeah.
That is my protest.
Yes.
So the abstain vote of the last election, part of it is a protest vote, that they were not happy with the performance of politics.
Yeah. What do you think of your legacy as Director of Elections? Because as much as you have laid that foundation, at every turn, when the opposition lose elections in Namibia, there's always allegations of rigging and vote theft and stuff like that. What would you say was your legacy in that regard? Have you run clean elections, or were you compromised by your SWAPO membership?
No, I was not compromised. I think I was a totally neutral person during the election. Nobody could ever accuse me, you are supporting one. I can remember one day, I can tell you that that gentleman, I can even mention it, was at that time Minister Pohamba.
Yes.
He rushed into my office at the Director of Elections, and they accused me that I'm favoring the DTA in my approach. The interesting thing what happened, the next day there was a leading article. They didn't know about that accusation of Minister Obama, who I respect very much. But then the next day was a leading article of the editor of the Republican accusing me that I'm favoring SWAPO. So the day before that, and the next day, then I talked to my the people in the Directorate of Election Office, the officials, and said, we are on the right avenue. We are in the middle of the road.
Yes.
Only thing, it's a very dangerous position to be in the middle of the road.
Yes. No, very good one, Professor. So then
we had court cases.
Yes.
For instance, I can remember that from, I think it was UDF, you know, they had to nominate candidates for the presidency, or for, was it really called, I can't remember, it was one of the two. And there's a certain time given, say 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they only turned up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I had to say, no, it's not possible. And they went to court about it, and the court said, you were right, Tötemeyer.
Okay. 2000, President Nuyoma appointed you as Deputy Minister of Regional and Local Government. How did that come about? What do you recall of that?
I went back to the university, and I acted very much at that stage as an advisor to the much respected rector, or the principal of the university, Peter Katjavivi, Professor Katjavivi. I met him for the first time. There's another story, but I can tell you another day what happened when I met him for the first time in 1977 in London. Okay. In exile. The story developed from that time on. Okay. But leave it that for the time being. Come back to your question. And yeah, I was then coming back, and I also acted as an advisor to him. And one day at home, I lived in Ludwigsdorf, I got a phone call, and I couldn't understand who is speaking. He said, who is speaking? Who is speaking? I can't understand you. Yeah. This is Sam Nujoma. Oh my goodness. Say, I want to see you immediately. Come to my office. Yeah. So I left my home and went to his office and said, first of all, I have the right to appoint 6 members of parliament, and you will be one that I appoint. At the same time, I've read your articles in the paper on decentralization, And I don't know whether you used the word I was impressed, but interested at least in what I had written. And so I want you also at the same time to appoint you as Deputy Minister of Regional Government and Housing at the time. Wow. So these were the words of our the founding president.
When did you first ever meet Sam Nujoma in your life?
For the first time, I met him when a delegation of we were called the group of 435, with Olen was at that time the chairperson, and we were invited through a labor union in Sweden to come to Stockholm to meet SWAPO delegation, where we for the first time met with each other's. Anton Lubowski was still living. Anton Lubowski, by the way, was my student. Okay. And the night when he was murdered, I got an anonymous phone call, among other things, that, listen, we just want to tell you, Anton Lubowski #1, Gwen Lister #2, Gerhard Tötemeyer #3.
Whoa, man.
So anyway, there in Sweden, we met for the first time. Okay. Many of them are still alive, but some already have passed away. That's for the personally, but he knew of me that I noticed when I met him for the first time. By then, already my book was published, Namibia Old and New, Traditional Leader and Elites in Womboland, etc.
In Sweden, which year was that you met him? Do you recall?
When was it? That was a year before they returned home.
1988.
1988, yeah.
Roundabout. Okay, wonderful.
We are all seeking connection to each other, to the world, to the spaces we exist in.
Sportsmanship right now from the lads.
You might be physically ready, your body is ready, but mentally.
Here's another chance, and it is a goal from Vindo Kahan.
Sy sê wie is er aan neertrek en daai bal het my grond gevat. Ja, hy het grond gevat en is hy.
But just enough next.
Running that mountain up. Okay, so we will be doing this for the mountain climber. More advanced, slightly advanced.
So is jou trolley reg? Want
I love it. I love it. So then
kickstart our countdown at number 5 with this one.
Op Netwerk TV se Klets Kompas gesels ons nuus van 'n Maandag tot Donderdag. Ons kyk ook na die weer en meer. Stories wat jou raak en stories wat saak maak.
They've made a mistake in denying me bail, and they've made several other mistakes in many other cases.
The channels that teach us something new or reflect our expression. So it goes beyond switching to the right station. It's about choosing the experience that can adorn the present, dressing it with our tastes as we expand our preferences, because what we are actually connecting to is boundless, limitless human energy. And this is the spirit of NTV.
Let's talk about the current situation in our country, Professor. Part of it is that the governors were elected. If you like, of course, you get elected as a constituency councillor, and then among your peers, you then choose or nominate one of you to go to become a governor. And if I recall correctly, you served as both governor and councillor of your constituency concurrently. And then 2014, there were constitutional amendments as President Hage Geingob was coming into the office. And since then, governors are appointed by the president. In Kunene, you would recall, Professor, that Dudu Mororo in Kunene has been the governor on a ticket of UDF. Popular men within that community. And then came a time when, no matter how popular you were within the electorate, there was no longer an avenue for you to become governor. Through that process, the president has to appoint someone, effectively a SWAPO member, as we have seen so far. What is your
Should I give you a little bit background to that time? I noticed during my time as deputy minister that at that time the regional council said the chairperson of the executive committee of a regional council will be called governor, and served that name also. But then I noticed, by my experience as being getting to all the regions, I noticed there were complaints in the population that the chairperson of the executive council governor is overburdened. Day and night he has to be at the head office because there are so many tasks. So they complained that they don't have him any longer as a representative of a constituency, because a regional councillor elected in a constituency, but he couldn't serve any longer properly the voters in a constituency, because he was so busy, or she was so busy at the regional centre level. So then I made a proposal at the time to government that we should reconsider and said the present governor is overburdened. Governor should be a separate position. We still have a regional council, still have a chairperson, who will get another name, but then on top there should be a person who's then solely, it's a full-time job. And it is a full-time job. But then I said, listen, it's very important, that was my proposal, that this person should be elected by the people in the region. They should nominate that person, and should then vote for him. It should somebody who knows the region, who grew up in that region at the best, and particularly know also the proper, the dominant language in that region. But this proposal of mine was not accepted by cabinet. Now we have a kind of conflict situation, because we have delegated power by having regional councils, by having local authorities, but now all of a sudden you have also deconcentration of power. Because deconcentration of power means that at central level somebody is appointed, not elected. Now we have a clash. And I once, during a research visit, I don't want to mention the name of the particular region, the governor came to see me and said, listen, I've got a problem. Yesterday I had a meeting with the executive committee of with the regional councillors, and they asked me, who has got now the final power in the region? Is it you, the governor, or is it us, and also the chairperson of the regional council? Because the act on the governor is a little bit vague. It's a general act that doesn't say much, and it should also be, I think, reviewed too. But I am still in favor of decentralization, something that I proposed when I was, applied when I was tasked by Comrade President to do that. And all of a sudden a contradiction. Somebody is nominated, not elected any longer by the people. Again, I repeat, I'm very much for bottom-up approach instead of top-down.
You are 88 years old now.
You know, I'm not going to stay as president.
No. I just wanted to know if you, of course, that is a very advanced age. It's a blessing to be that, to reach that age. But The reason why you seem to be very removed from politics, is it merely because of age, or have you lost confidence in SWAPO along the way?
No, I'm an academic as such. And what I did, since I have published a number of books and pamphlets, not so much, but books, and I'm back to that. But in myself, I still have got a political soul, if you can put it that way. So I'm still concerned, and it's my subject as Professor of Political Studies and Administrative Studies to be concerned. So there's another book incoming that I look at a particular issue in this country that concerns me very much, and I will talk about it. We should not be hesitant to be critical to each other. Yeah. By the way, coming back to one of your earlier questions, why people, the opposition, never accept the outcome of election. That's a general pattern throughout Africa. I don't know any country. And while I was Director of Elections and Deputy Minister, I had the opportunity to visit 22 African countries. And again, by the way, now comparing other African countries and Namibia, we may be negative or critical on this or that, but every time I returned back home, I said, I'm back in paradise compared to other African.
Where you're coming from. Yeah.
So I remain political in my mind.
Okay, no, wonderful.
And still many people come and see me and look for advice.
Okay, no, very good. No, of course. You can't disappear with that basket of wisdom. You spoke about the German forum, the German-speaking community of Namibia, saying they must come to the party, they must share their ideas, and they must accept ideas from others. The land issue remains critical in our country. That debate has refused to die, obviously, for as long as the land question has not been decisively answered, it will continue to linger on. What do you think is the solution to this issue?
First of all, you must keep in mind, we don't have enough land in this country that everybody can be an owner of a piece of land.
Is that so? Is it not?
With 2.6 million.
Yeah.
And look now how many hectares are available outside the communal land. That's, by the way, while you talk about the land issue, that is the other issue that we must carefully look at. Traditional leaders can allocate land to the people, but the Constitution says all land is owned by the state. There we have also a particular problem area that one needs to address when we look at the land issue. And you know how much land you need that you can make a profit, that you can live on. Even now that we buy farms, and we should continue to that more people can own land. And we should also particularly look how can we get rid of the situations in our cities, of the shanty towns that have developed. And there does it help to give them a piece of land? Yes, they want to have ownership of something. Yeah. But then we have got the high unemployment figure, no income. You see all the debts at the moment that many homes are now sold by auction. It's a very sensitive issue. But look again at 2.6 million people. How much land do we need to satisfy? Not everybody is interested in land, but I know that many people, for instance, if you look at the Oshiwambo-speaking population, they are not so much interested in having farms in the south of Namibia because they are double farmers. They have cattle and agriculture. Yeah. And they would like to have farms that where you can practice both at the same time, because there's a tradition grown up, and I do have understanding for that. Then we have limited land that we could satisfy. And do all the young people that go around here and are looking for a job, would they be satisfied? We have a problem at the moment. The other day, a small farmer from the traditional communal areas talked to me and said, we have one problem up here on Kumu land, that we have a lot of land not being any longer used for Omahango or for what other reasons, because the young people are not interested to become our successors as farmers. So there's so many issues that we need to consider, but I am in favor that we should try to find a satisfied solution to that. But we must also make our own contribution, because we also, when we allocate land, I noticed that on a particular farm, 4 families were settled on that farm. But it was too small for 4 families. They couldn't make profit out of it. So they need machinery, they need training, they need more assistance to use land and how to use that land. Of course, I admire the people, and those who would like to have a piece of land, but that is not the wish of every person in this country, particularly in the young generation.
Yeah. Do you have farms yourself?
No.
You are from Gibeon. You were born in Gibeon.
I was born in Gibeon. I'm an honorary member of the Witbooi tribe, and I'm very proud of that. I got that white hat on at one occasion.
Okay.
Yeah. So I still have a strong relationship to the Nama-speaking population, because I grew up in this house. My father was missionary down in Keetmanshoop then, and Lutheritz. I was born in Gibeon, and I didn't know the day that I was invited to the Witbooi Day, all the horses and copying the liberation struggle and that. And I had given my speech. And then Hendrik Witbooi, the Captain Hendrik Witbooi, said, "Come here, now you sit on this chair."
Yeah.
And then he called his elders, and they came with a hat, white. "We crown you now, and now, as from now, you are an honorary member of our tribe." And I'm proud of it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Speaking of the Nama and German relations, the issue of genocide, I'm sure you're following the deliberations that are going on now. An amount has been proposed in a joint declaration between the 2 governments, and the communities are not happy. President Hage Geingob says, there's no particular price that you can pay for what has happened. What should be the solution? What is the solution to this issue?
Of course, we are not directly involved as German speakers in this country, but if we approach us, we will give definitive opinion. We have to find a solution. And it was quite a while that it took time till the German-speaking population in Namibia accepted the concept genocide, which I used right from the word go, but not everybody agrees. So that is the first thing. Agreement, yes, something happened that should never have happened. The people were murdered, black and white, both sides. I don't know the exact number. I'm still trying to find out what is the exact number. So I am in favor that a peaceful solution should be found.
Yeah.
They are at the moment still negotiating whether the sum can be a little bit more. And I'm in favor the time limit should come down, not 15 years, not, say 10 years rather, and that we look at it. The whole very sensitive concept is reparation.
Yeah, reparation, yes.
But imagine what will happen. How to determine reparation? How do you precisely say, yes, you are a descendant of the people? it could have many implications if one should start with paying money. Many, even court cases eventually. Do I deserve? Did I get enough money, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So it's better because the whole of Namibia was involved in the liberation struggle. Not only the Ovahereros, the Namas, and the San, and to some extent Damara. We must look at the total situation. Everybody in Namibia suffered under colonization. Give you one example. We talk only about now one particular group being very strong in its demands.
Yeah.
But who built the railways in this country at the minimum salary? Who actually was involved in the fishing industry that we do have it? The diamond industry, predominantly coming from the north, the Oshiwambo, and from the Kavango region, west and east. It's not a matter only of this and that group. The whole population suffered, and all should benefit from what Namibia, what Germany contributes.
Absolutely. The final question to you, Professor, is 2024. The elections are coming up. You are a reader of politics. You are a political scientist. We saw what happened in 2019 and 2020, the ruling party losing its two-thirds majority, losing the capital to the opposition, losing this industrial towns.
Swakopmund.
Yes, absolutely. The entire Hardap and Karas regions gone to the opposition. What led to that first, and how does your party bounce back?
You see, it's a straightforward question, and I have got my ideas about it, and I still need that, and that they are proved that I am right on that. But several things have happened in our country since independence. I thought we would get rid of tribalism. No, it's not the case. Most of the smaller parties are still based on the support they can get from their reference group, Namo or Damara, etc. And what has developed, what I'm carefully looking at, what has developed in this country is an anti-Uvambuism. It's a new concept, Uvambuism.
Yeah.
Anti-Uvambuism, that they say Uvambus have benefited too much from the independence. And this is not only anti-political but also anti-tribal issue. And this is something that concerns me very much, which is a fact, that this attitude has developed, is still developing in this country. I still believe that SWAPO may not get the 50% party support, but it will still be the strongest party after the. But it's a trend that we see also in the rest of Africa, that former liberation parties and some of our liberators should be more concerned and less egoistic in their approach, not looking at me as a person, but the community should come first. So because the elite that has developed, it's doubted about in the population, that they benefit themselves, and the gap between rich and poor is widening. All that should not be the case. But we have to go back to the people, talk to them. Even if we cannot fulfill all their wishes, give them the opportunity to talk and listen.
Absolutely. Professor, thank you for welcoming us in your house, in your home.
It's a pleasure.
Very wonderful, and so good to catch up with you. We will continue to reach out to you for wisdom whenever we have a deficiency, but we appreciate your time. Thank you. That's Professor Gerhard Tötemeyer. He's an academic, also a former Deputy Minister of Regional and Local Government, as well as the founding father of Namibian elections. Thank you for watching.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.